Hey, it is Erica from the Teacher Next Door team. I am going to fly through this video really quick because you're probably watching this on your plan or before you leave for the weekend. So I'm going to go over the freebie that I included in the email this week. It's from the language practice and assessments. This one's from the fourth grade level. But there's also a fifth grade level. The reason why I picked the fourth grade level is because the skill I included in here is a universal skill that I feel like everybody in upper elementary and even outside upper elementary could use. So let's scroll through this really quick. I'm not going to read this to you. This is how you can use this resource. I just pulled these pages from the full resource. So in here, typically, you would have every single grammar skill that is aligned to the Common Core state standards. Even if you don't use Common Core, it's not like the skills change. So this is still a very useful resource if you teach in Texas or Virginia or a different state that does not follow Common Core. Most states that don't have Common Core state standards have their standards based off of Common Core anyway. So very helpful to have here. So I left this list in here for you, even like I highlighted this in green to show you which skill I included in the freebie for you. It's the capitals, pretest and practice page, and then the assessment in here. So if you scroll down, you can read these on your own. If you scroll down, you will get to the practice page. Now, the practice page looks exactly like this, and then take a look at what the assessment looks like. Now, it has capital words quiz on here. Exactly the same, because I'm not in the business of throwing curveballs at my students. Like when we practice a skill, I'm not going to try to trick them, basically, and give them something way more difficult. This, I find, also is super beneficial for when you have those parents who want to know, like, what's, or grown-ups at home, what's on the assessment? When is the assessment? How do I practice with my child at home? What do I need to go over? This tends to completely address that, because once you start the routine with each skill at the beginning of the year, and parents and guardians at home know what to expect, this is so helpful to have this routine in the system. I often try to put myself in their shoes. They are not, the parents and guardians aren't necessarily people who are in education. They also have not gone over some of these grammar skills since they themselves were in 4th, 5th, 6th grade. So having this predictable routine and system, so beneficial. I find that the primary grades do this very, very well. And then once we get to upper elementary, we get into this habit of going, well, students need to be more responsible and they need to have those executive functioning skills where they're able to communicate this at home with their parents. And quite honestly, more times than not, they just don't have those skills. So creating this predictable routine makes things easier for you. It makes things easier for parents and guardians at home, because I do find that there are parents and guardians who genuinely, truly want to work with their student at home and they just don't know how. So having this system is super helpful. Let me explain, and by the way, I want to show you, there are answer keys in here for you as well. I want to show you my grammar system and how I run it in my classroom to get basically the most bang for my buck, and my buck here is being like the amount of time that I spend in my classroom, how I teach it, how my students practice it, and how I assess it at the end of the week. I often find myself very confused when I get a freebie and going, this is great. I want the whole system. Where do I find it? I have no idea. So I'm going to show you in this video how to access it. So here's the TPT store. You're going to scroll down in the categories here until you see this check mark, which is language and grammar. Now, I like to view this in the grid form because I just think it's easier. The freebie that you received in the email today came directly from this resource right here. It's the 4th grade language practice and assessment. So again, there's one for every single grammar skill that is aligned to the 4th grade standards. And then this one is every single grammar skill aligned to the 5th grade standards. Not gonna lie, there's a lot of overlap in there. So I've had some teachers who have reached out and said that they got both so that they could have more practice pages because the skills are so similar in 4th and 5th grade. Now, in the beginning of the week, I will teach the skill. I will teach the skill at my carpet with my students, have an example sentence up on the board. I will pull the sentence from like our read aloud that day or the novel that we're reading in class and go over that skill. My students cannot attend for a grammar lesson for longer than, I would say, like 6 minutes, honestly. So I teach that skill whole group at the beginning of the week on Monday. In our ELA centers that week, in order to practice this skill in a low stakes environment where students can make mistakes and learn from their mistakes, I then pull that same skill from this guy. This is the grammar centers. We have these for 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade, by the way. This is actually my set in these pictures right here. So you can see that there's hands-on games. I am going back to hands-on learning. Like going back to pencil and paper, going back to analog. I want my classroom to function like it's the 90s. I don't want to touch the iPads. I don't want to utilize the Chromebooks if I don't have to. Of course, we have included the digital for you. We will never, ever, ever charge extra for having a digital component of one of our resources. So it is included there for you. God forbid we have to go back to asynchronous learning at some point in time. So it's in there. You can absolutely have access to it. More power to it if you want to use it. I'm using the paper version. Mine are in these little cases. I bought these for, I think, like $12 when they were on sale. Printed out all of my task cards. I'm going to open the preview so you can see. So in here, if you scroll down, every single one of these task card boxes has all of my cards in them. They're clearly labeled. All these labels come with this Grammar Center in here too. They're cut out, and then if I scroll down, here's all the skills that are included. If I scroll down, you'll see that there are also game boards included. So this makes it kind of fun. You just use the little paper clip here, hold it down with your pencil, spin it. Honestly, we use eraser caps for our game pieces here. Super fun. This is included in my centers. This does not take kids all week to complete, by the way. This will maybe take 2 days for them to get through. When they complete the center, they have like a checklist that they have to complete by the end of the week. And again, I give them the answer keys to them. My students are required to check their own work. And there's a lot of growth mindset that goes into this at the beginning of the school year because they're in 4th and 5th grade. It's natural for them to just want to cheat and change the answer. Totally normal, developmentally appropriate. It's my job as their teacher to teach them, hey, if you make a mistake, go ahead and correct it because that's where your true learning takes place. I do not take this for a grade. But my parents at home and guardians at home know that this task card sheet does come home every single week, so they know what to expect. So they know what to expect if that sheet comes home and at the beginning of the week and students have a ton wrong, they know that they really needed some practice on that skill. I can, take that as a formative assessment, continue to keep supporting them in the classroom. They can also see when that comes home what they need to work on at home. So lots of training, lots of routine. I like the idea of trying this out in April and May too. If you are thinking like, my students do not have solid grammar skills and it's affecting their writing. If you are in that boat, I like the idea of trying this out in April and May and then getting that feel for that routine and how you want to implement that at the beginning of next school year, just to kind of iron out like any kinks in the system or anything like that. So I'm going to go back to this page right here. So beginning of the week, language lesson. After that, in centers, grammar centers, right here. Now, after they complete the grammar centers, because they've had enough practice, and by the way, the Google Forms in there are self-grading, so they can go ahead and review their work if you do use the digital. After they've completed the practice in the grammar centers, that is when I will give them this page, the practice page. This is due by Wednesday. On Wednesday, at the end of our ELA block, we will grade this all together. Honestly, I feel like the best learning takes place when students are grading their own work. I don't put this one in the grade book. Students are grading their own work. They can see where they made mistakes and where they had successes. This I feel like is the most impactful part of the grammar lesson, which is typically like moan and groan, grammar's boring. This makes it quick. It makes it easy. It makes it accessible. It makes it predictable for students. Nobody's trying to trick them. Again, you're getting a lot of output for a very little bit of routine input that we work on at the beginning of the school year, and it has a big payoff for every single skill. Now, on Friday, I do give this as an assessment. I've worked with a ton of schools that have a requirement of you need X number of grades in the grade book by the end of the marking period. I've also worked with schools that are standards-based, where if this is by standard, we need to be able to see where that child is with this particular standard so we can give a grade on this. So this is going to be the summative assessment. This one is going to go into the grade book. We are standards-based personally, but I've worked with schools who have both requirements on here. When this comes home, grown-ups at home know exactly what to expect. They know that if this says quiz on here, they know that that one's going to be included on the grade on whatever type of report card is used with that school. So that is my system of teaching grammar. It makes it easy. It makes it predictable. There are a zillion grammar resources on TPT. This is my particular routine here. Every single one of these grammar centers, you can obviously purchase them individually. It's so much cheaper to buy them in the bundle here. I put the bundles on sale. I wanted them to be under $30 for you guys. But in order to run that exact system that I was just talking about, you'll need the language practice assessments and the grammar centers here. So go ahead and give it a try. Even if you don't wind up getting the full system, hopefully this is helpful for you. And in April, if you have students who are still really struggling with capitalizing proper nouns. So I feel like that's all of us at this point in time. Super helpful system. If you have any questions, hit reply on the email that I sent you, and I am happy to help or answer any questions that you may have about this.